check out these TikTokers. Also, don't send them any hate. Like and follow them.
Storytime about how I found out my husband gave me HIV while I was pregnant. So me and my husband were high school sweethearts. He was very kind, very in tune about my feelings, and we were like best friends. We never really did anything sexual because he didn't want our relationship to be like that. We were together for 6 years, waited until marriage to lose our virginity to one another. The year before getting married, I noticed he would stare at guys a lot, but I would never really think anything about it because at least he was not looking at girls. Fast forward, we get married, and 2 years later, I get pregnant, and we were both excited. When I get to the doctors, I get my yearly test done for STDs, of course, but as always, I'm clean. Maybe 1 or 2 weeks later, I get a call from the doctor saying I tested positive for HIV. Let me know if you guys want a part 2. Part 2 of how I found out my husband gave me HIV while I was pregnant. Like I said earlier, 2 weeks later, I get a call from the doctor saying I tested positive for HIV. I was shaking and crying, and I was so shocked. And the only thing I ever heard about HIV at the time was that I only had a couple months to live. I couldn't believe the only man that I've ever been with gave me this disease. I thought I was doing everything right, the right way, and still ended up being in a hole. I was so nervous to confront my husband because I didn't think it was like him to cheat on me, and I thought maybe he thought I was cheating. So the next day I pretended everything was fine. I lied to him and told him that my phone died and that I needed his to call my mother. He gave me his phone. I went into the bathroom and immediately I start snooping. As I'm going through his phone, I didn't see any text from girls. So I'm like, maybe the doctor got the wrong test. I'm running out of time. Come back for part 3. Part 3 of how I found out my husband gave me HIV while I was pregnant. So, like I said, I went to his phone and I didn't see any text from other girls. So, I'm thinking maybe the doctor called the wrong person. Anyways, I gave up on looking through his phone and I just talked to him. I sat him down and told him that I had HIV and that I haven't cheated on him ever. He looked at me and cried. He broke down in tears and apologized. I got so upset with him because I realized that he did cheat on me, and I was really upset for our unborn child. So I took all of his clothes, I took his things, and I threw them all out. Right before I kicked him out, I yelled at him saying, "Who was the girl that gave it to you?" And he told me it wasn't a girl. It was his friend David.
My family, who is extremely homophobic, ended up kicking me out and replacing me with my best friend. My family is absolutely awful when it comes to topics about the LGBTQ plus community. Literally any mention of it and they get extremely upset. Which sounds like they're suppressing something to me, but I had a friend that we can call Katie and my family absolutely adored her. Every Christmas they would buy her presents. She would spend family movie night with us and they honestly treated her like she was the favorite daughter. So one day I made the decision to come out and I decided to talk to Katie about it. She was literally so supportive and so respectful that I gained the confidence to talk to my family about it. Bad idea. Hell striked and they immediately kicked me out of the house. So I found myself on a schedule of switching from couch to couch at different friends' houses. One particular night that was really hard for me, I decided to go visit them. I was missing them and also hopeful that they might accept me back in. And as I approached the house, my best friend was over there. She was playing games and doing family movie night with them, and so I decided to knock on the door. I burst into tears and went off on all of them. The absolute audacity. Later, my best friend texted me saying that she had a secret. Follow my Insta. Part 2 to my homophobic family kicking me out of the house and replacing me with my best friend. So I cannot believe the audacity of my family literally replacing me with Katie. Not only was she just over there for movie night, but they had actually moved her into my room, the room that I was raised in. I felt so much fury that I had to walk around the neighborhood for a while just to calm down. But eventually I just started to walk back to the house that I was staying at. Once I got in, Katie messaged me. She apologized for being such a bad friend, but then she said she had a secret. and she came out to me as bisexual and begged me not to tell my family. She felt like my family was her own and she didn't want to get kicked out. I was so frustrated that she was keeping the same secret that I had in my house, but she's getting to actually stay at my house. It has been a full year now and she is still with them to this day. But thankfully, I'm now living with my boyfriend and his family has accepted me as bisexual. I am honestly so much happier and better off. If you guys have a story that you'd like to share, follow me and DM me on Instagram.
This is why I don't tell anyone where I live. There was once a boy who asked his single father for a bedtime story, so the father told him. There was once a boy named Colby who made friends with another boy online called Helper23. On Colby's birthday, Helper23 wanted to give him a present in real life, so Colby gave him his home address, where he lives with his mom, his dad, and his little brother. But then Colby started to feel a bit weird about giving his address to a stranger online. The next night, he thought he had to tell his parents about it. He called out to his dad but got no reply, then found both his parents killed and a man wearing a dark hoodie holding a knife in the hallway. As Colby started to beg for his life, he hears his little brother crying in the next room. The intruder then strangles Colby and leaves the house with Colby's baby brother. The boy then looks up at his father and asks, "Why did the intruder take the baby?" To which his father just calmly smiled and said, "I've always wanted to be a father."
My brother recently moved in with us with his wife and 2 children. My husband and I own a big house on a farm, and with everyone working from home, we thought it would be a good chance to stay together as a family. I have 3 children, my eldest being 18 and my youngest being 13. It was amazing. Everyone got along just great. My sister-in-law and son especially got along together. They would always go running. Everything seemed normal until last month when my sister-in-law and son went on their run, but I was baking and I never saw them make any rounds around the farm, which was weird. I asked about it and they said they decided to hit the road. I thought nothing of it and everything seemed normal. They both have a really good bond. Yesterday, I was coming from a friend's house early in the morning and the sun wasn't up yet, and it was a little dark, but I saw that the cabin we have at the farm was open and the light was on. I thought maybe one of the employees had forgotten to lock it up, so I went to close the door and switch off the lights, and I got closer and I heard something. I took a peek and I saw my son and sister-in-law going at it. I didn't confront them because I was in shock. I still haven't told anyone what I saw and I don't know what to do. Should I confront them? Should I tell my brother? Should I tell my husband? I'm so confused. Due to their
This man's wife left him, but not for the reasons he thought. Once there was a couple who just got married in Paris. They were very happy together, but the wife had one secret she didn't tell her husband yet. She had a birthmark on her face. She'd been wearing makeup to cover it, but she thought once she showed her husband, she would know whether he truly loved her. So after they got married, she took off her makeup and showed him. He was surprised, but he wasn't going to let that change anything. However, the next morning, his wife was gone. Her husband thought that she must have felt upset due to how surprised he looked when he saw her birthmark. Or maybe she had second thoughts. After months of getting no reply, he finally gave up on trying to look for her. He was heartbroken, but after a few years, he got a new job in a different city. He wanted a fresh start in life, but things didn't go as planned. He came across a strange-looking circus called the House of Oddities. This made him very curious, so he went in, but what he saw inside would shock him. Among the other circus acts, he saw a twisted woman rocking back and forth, looking terrified. He screamed as he recognized the birthmark on her face. The true story of the woman who helped over 600 other women poison their husbands. In 17th century Italy, women were still considered men's property. Marriages were pretty much always prearranged or financially motivated. So if your husband was abusive, you were pretty much just stuck with him. But when one woman was executed for killing her abusive husband, her daughter started a business of her own. Giulia Tofana decided to start helping abused wives. She was a well-known makeup seller, so that helped her get connected with other women. She created and sold the Aqua Tofana, a mix of lead, belladonna, and a bunch of other ingredients. It had no color, no taste, and it was slow working, so it couldn't be detected. And she disguised this poison as makeup. Eventually, though, one of her clients had second thoughts and ended up ratting on her. Giulia then confessed to helping over 600 women kill their husbands and was executed.
I started this story time a while ago on another video, but then I forgot to make a part 2, and I don't even remember which video it was. So, story time about how me and my friends got chased by a woman with a shotgun. 2 springs ago, my friend was having her 21st birthday, and she wanted us to stay at her family's house out east, which is maybe about an hour and a half from me. I wasn't 21 at that time since I turned in May, and this was April, but it was still a really fun time. On the way there driving, we see this big bright pink house, like a little cottage. It was really cool. So I did research on it, and it used to be a tea shop that went out of business. So I thought it was really awesome, and I wanted to check it out on the ride back. On the ride back, we got there and we wanted to take a photo in front of the pink house, and then we see a bunch of goats, and one of my friends gets distracted by the goats and goes over and touches them. Then there's another house miles away in the distance, like miles, and this woman starts running, screaming, holding a shotgun that we're on her property and we're trespassing. Like for a part 2. Storytime part 2 about when me and my friends were chased by a woman with a shotgun. So we were like a bunch of young girls. No one was harming anything, and I researched into it. The goats might have been hers, which was my friend's fault. I didn't touch them, but the pink house wasn't her property. So this angry woman was wilding, and we just left. So a year later, last year, we happened to be back out there with some other friends, and I mentioned that I wanted to see the pink house. So they're just like, don't go up there. The crazy lady will come out. Like, I did not care. I was getting a photo in front of this cottage if she killed me. The place was just so unique. So this time we pulled up in the front. We didn't go in the driveway or near any of the goats. I quickly hopped onto the pink patio and we took the photo. She comes out running again from her house miles in the distance, screaming, holding a Heineken. But like, how does she even know or see that we were there? Does she just stand and look out of her window all day long? Like, don't we have better things to do than care about some people looking at historical house?